Alright, welcome to my video. My name's Eckogen. In this video, we'll go over the mechanics for the second boss in the Temple of Eluvium, the Great Thrall. What you see and what I'm explaining will not be the standard mechanics. We're actually going to use the cheese strats, because hey, who doesn't like cheese? So the cheese strategy is of course a lot easier to do than the mechanics. However, it does heavily rely on the tank. Your raid party needs good DPS, as you have to burst the final 12% of the boss's health before the enrage. So everyone needs to start on this line right here that you see us all standing on, and we have to remain on this line. So when the fight starts, everyone needs to hit the boss at least once besides the summoners. The summoners need to stay at the very back of the wall, and they do not ever engage the boss at all until near the end. The boss will apply Hellfire to 6 people every 45 seconds. So the people with Hellfire are going to stand against the wall where the summoners are, so that way it's easier to revive them. Because if everyone's all staying at the line here, and there's dead bodies all over the place, people are going to overlap each other, and it's going to make it very difficult to res people. So everyone else that doesn't have Hellfire pretty much stays on the line and wait for their turn to get Hellfire. So once the people with Hellfire die, the summoners and the cats need to revive them as soon as possible, and then the next 6 people will automatically get Hellfire and then die after 45 seconds. So those who are sitting on line that didn't get Hellfire need to go damage the boss again. So this just ensures that new people will get Hellfire, because if there isn't enough people to take the Hellfire debuff, then the tank might get one, and then that means that would be game over for that point, and you would have to redo it. So a good time is to go in and damage the boss right after 2 punishments or Time Distortion. So you can see here, that's the Hellfire buff that I have. So once it counts down to 1, I will automatically die. So pretty much when you get Hellfire, you need to go to the wall where the summoners are. And because 6 people are picked, you probably need at least 3 summoners to do this, 4 would be even better or more. And then just pair up with a summoner. So that way not all summoners have, one person at them. Just kind of spread it all apart. Alright, so 6 people with Hellfire died. Summoners automatically res. So a lot of the mechanics from this boss comes from the self-damaging mechanic. So that's why this cheese strat works out well. And then as soon as you're rezzed up here, you have to go and damage the boss again to pretty much register yourself, because if you don't do that, then the boss will never apply Hellfire onto you. So after he does those 2 punishment attacks, it's pretty much a good time to go in and deal some damage, so that way you actually register it on the table. And that attack right there, that was his Time Distortion. So pretty much, as long as you do it after his punishment, he does Time Distortion. So between those times, you're good to go in and, just hit him a couple times, so that way you register it on the table. And then you just go back and wait here until you get Hellfire again. So that's what you do. So there we see, I got Hellfire again. So pretty much applies to 6 people every 45 seconds. So that 6 people will get picked for a Hellfire. When you get it, you stand against the wall with the summoners. You'll automatically die. They res you. You then get back in line, and then when appropriate, you go hit the boss again to make sure that you get registered, so he applies Hellfire on you. Now, periodically, there will be a room-wide dot damage that we take. It's not significant when you are at full health, but this can kill people who are getting back up from being rezzed. So it's important to have party skills ready to use that will assist people who are getting rezzed in order to keep them alive during that dot damage. So pay attention, and when it does happen, use party support skills such as Pedal Storm, Hong Moon Block, Frost Sheath, Sanctum, any sort of party healing skills, etc. So just use whatever supportive skills that you have and time it as soon as they res up. That way it keeps them alive because as soon as you res up, your health is pretty low. So there's a good chance that dot damage will kill you. And his punishment attacks are exactly like Raven's punishment in BT. So you will periodically receive damage. So when you go in to hit the boss again, try to time it appropriately so you do not get the punishment stacks applied onto you. And to do this cheese tactic, you definitely need a very competent tank, and it helps having at least 3 or more summoners. That way they're able to res the people who are dead. The more summoners you have, the easier it is for this. And you pretty much keep doing this until he gets to 12%. So there we go. I automatically died to Hellfire along with 5 other people. So make sure that you spread yourself apart so that each summoner has, 2 people each if you only have 3 summoners. That way they're not being overwhelmed. And then try to spread yourselves apart too, so that way your bodies are not overlapping each other's when you die. So see, that's the dot damage that was just applied there. So the FM used Frost Sheath, so that'll help me heal up. Otherwise, I probably would have died. And since I'm dead and I got res, I need to go hit the boss a couple times to register myself on the damage table. That way I'll get the Hellfire debuff. And just remember that while you're waiting on this line, if you don't get it in a while, then you need to go back and hit the boss again just to make sure you do get it. So the boss is about to hit 12% here. So at 12%, everyone needs to go in and DPS the boss as hard as they can. Anyone who's still dead needs to be rezzed by the cats, or you can put them all together in a party for the Soul Fighter to res. If you can take the punishment, then the punishment stacks, then you can go ahead and do it, as it will minimize the DPS loss. However, I would not recommend doing so unless you can survive it, because having 5 or more stacks does get really painful. So you can see we got put in a party and the Soul Fighter rezzed us. And then you just go ham on the boss. Alright, so right there, his CC bar opens up because he's doing Time Distortion. So you need to stun him when he's doing this, otherwise he'll skip some of his attacks and then do punishment again. So this is why it's very vital that you stun him. And then afterwards, the CC bar is going to open up again. Ideally, you should stun him again, or you could KD. Now, punishment is a 2-hit attack. Like I said before, it's like the Raven King's punishment attack. So it either hits inside and then outside, or then outside and then inside. It's pretty much a 50-50 chance of which one is going to happen. And you can tell by the way the boss moves. So when he has one arm up into the air, so kind of like this pose that you see right here, that means it's going to be inside first and then outside. When he has 2 arms in the air, it means it's going to be outside first and then inside. So that right there, that's the outside first and then inside. And now it's going to do Time Distortion, so you stun him. His CC bar opens up again, so Time Distortion, stun him again if you can. So that right there, that's his one arm up in the air. So that means punishment is going to be in the inner circle and then the outer circle. When it's two, it's the outside first and then the inside. And like I said, if you do miss the stun, then he's going to go ahead and do punishment again. So that's why it's vital to be able to CC him every time his CC bar opens up and he's doing Time Distortion. Alright, so as always, I will include the summary of the cheese guide in the video description, along with what the tank must deal with and do in general of, tanking this boss. Be sure to give mad props to the tank, because if you decide to do the cheese route, it's pretty much all on the tank to do this properly to keep you guys alive, because there are a lot of things that the tank could do wrong that could kill the entire raid. And of course, if the tank dies, the raid's done. So, thanks for watching. I hope that helped.